Is it still worth learning AWS in 2026? That is a question I'm going to answer in this video. If you're planning on spending 3 months, 6 months, or longer training and learning AWS, you want to know that your investment in time is going to be worth it. So in this video, I'm going to explain why I think it is still a good time to learn AWS, where the opportunities are, and what it is that you actually need to do to be successful in the industry today. Now, of course, things are changing quickly. We know the job market's changing. We know technology is changing at a very, very rapid pace. So we've got to make sure that we're taking the right actions if we want to be successful today. And the actions today are very different to the way they were several years ago. Back in 2018, 2019, 2020, say the early 20s, let's say around the COVID era, people were just able to get certifications and land jobs. That's basically what you needed. So the theory was enough to get you in, essentially, because that's what certifications are. They essentially demonstrate that you understand theory. To a certain extent, maybe they test you on hands-on, but we know that in reality, people can pass exams and not really know how to actually build things in the real world. And that's part of the problem. Because of that, lots and lots of people got certified. Lots of people had that theoretical knowledge. There was a big hiring spree, and companies took people on and then realized they didn't actually have the ability, the hands-on ability, to actually do the work that they were hired for. Since then, of course, the economy's changed, a lot has changed, and lots of jobs have been lost. There's been lots of layoffs around the industry. So what we need to do now is definitely different to what we were doing back in 2020. What we need to do today is not just focus on certifications, not just focus on theory. We need to make sure that we focus also on the hands-on in a big way. So making sure that we really have the technical ability. So not stacking certifications, but actually ensuring that we have the ability to solve problems, to hit the ground running when we get hired into a job. And certainly employers have got a lot smarter about making sure that they test that you have that ability before they even offer you a position, perhaps even before you get a chance to have an interview with them, which is why things like a project portfolio are essential today, where they may not have been 5 or 6 years ago. Now, one of the important things to understand is the cloud industry is still growing. It's growing at a rapid pace. AWS is still the largest cloud provider. And what we're seeing today is a lot more companies are moving to AWS because they want to start leveraging some of the AI capabilities, the machine learning platforms and services that are offered through AWS. So they can actually start deploying AI-enabled applications and rapidly transforming as the industry evolves and making sure they meet their customers' needs. So the cloud is a great place to do that, which means we're seeing this huge influx of companies who are starting to move more and more workloads into the cloud. Now, actually, the statistic is that most companies are not fully in the cloud at this point. There's a very, very large number of organizations that are not using the cloud at all, or in a very, very small way. And even the biggest organizations who are very large users of the cloud still have a lot of workloads outside of the cloud. Not all of them will end up in the cloud, but many will. And we're seeing that happen today. We're seeing huge data center build outs. We're seeing many of the large cloud computing platforms building more data centers so that they can expand rapidly because they need to meet the demand. Now, that expansion of the cloud platforms means there's going to be more jobs designing, building, and operating in the cloud. So solutions architects, DevOps engineers, variety of different job roles, cloud engineers, of course, and AI and machine learning engineers. These job roles are definitely still going to be in demand into the future. So making sure that you have the right skills is essential. So we can see that the opportunity is still strong. There's still lots of expansion in the cloud market. There's going to be more job opportunities opening up. So yes, AWS is still definitely worth learning in 2026 as we're seeing this expansion. It's going to continue definitely over the next few years, and we're going to see more jobs opening up in the cloud. So what do you need to do to be successful today? That's the most important thing. The opportunity is there, but we need to be prepared for it if we're going to land those job opportunities. So yes, certifications are still relevant. In a way, they're kind of a prerequisite, so it is useful to have certifications. However, don't spend too long trying to stack more and more and more certifications. What you need to do is get up to a certain level. If you are more sort of beginner to intermediate, that's the associate level in terms of AWS certifications. And if you're advanced in a particular area like solutions architecture or security or networking, you can go up to the professional or specialty levels for those particular certifications. Not necessarily a good use of time if you're more junior, but if you are more senior, you have more IT background, then it's useful to specialize and go that bit deeper. On top of the certifications, we've got to make sure that we have a broad enough skill set. So there's a few core skills that we see across jobs. Things like Terraform, very, very useful. Linux is definitely useful. A bit of Python programming. Depending on the job role, you can go a bit deeper there, or you might not need as much. For example, if you're a solutions architect, but certainly if you're a developer or a DevOps engineer, you're going to have to go a little bit deeper on Python for sure. The next thing is to have that portfolio. So again, really important today to make sure that we have the hands-on capability to actually hit the ground running. And in the first place, as I mentioned before, to get selected for interviews, we need to have some kind of portfolio online that we can demonstrate. So if your CV, if your resume is not full of AWS experience, you need to be able to demonstrate it some other way, and that's where the portfolio comes in. So whether you have a tech background or not, employers who are employing you for an AWS specific role, they're going to want to see that AWS experience. So if you don't have that on your resume, then you've got to have it in your portfolio. If you do have it in your resume, it's still useful to have it in a portfolio. It shows that you have some project work that you've done recently. It also demonstrates that you have an enthusiasm for actually doing this work because you've likely done that in your own time. Now, make sure that the portfolio of project work is aligned to the job roles that you're going for. So if you're focused more on solutions architecture or DevOps or cloud ops, for example, then you want to make sure that you've aligned the type of project work that you're doing to that job role. Again, that's speaking to employers and telling them that you have the capability to do that particular job. So just to summarize, the opportunity is there today. You need to have some certifications, you need to have a broad set of skills, and you need to have a portfolio of project work that shows potential employers that you have the skills to do the job that you're actually applying for. That's it for this video. I hope you found that useful. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to our channel, and we'll send you some more.